I know you enjoyed the basketball over in Council Bluffs on Friday. The Adidas 3 SSB championships, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. That is, George and I watched the game together. That is a whole nother world of AAU basketball.
Wow.
Tracy McGrady is coaching a team that isn't very good, but he's a really patient guy. So I watched one of the games that his team was playing. He does a lot of coaching, but he very rarely raises his voice, and he's got a huge presence. He's a big guy, but even calls that would go against him, he didn't lose his mind like we saw some of those coaches this weekend. Dawned on me also, Kyle Lowry looks a lot bigger on TV than he does in person. So his team was here in Omaha Council Bluffs this weekend, and he was sitting on the bench, and their 16 team was playing in the national championship last night. And he did a lot of coaching, but he doesn't sit there and dog the refs. But he's not that big. On TV, he looks a lot bigger. Now, I don't know if it's the off season or whatever.
Yeah.
But he looks a little bit smaller. But it was a great event. It was kind of an introduction, if you're a hoop head, into that level of AAU basketball and prospects. College football recruiting is so popular around here, and we talk about it a lot more than we ever do college basketball recruiting, which is probably a shame on us because Nebraska and Creighton, and even to an extent Omaha, are now recruiting on a different level. I mean, the type of prospect that Nebraska and Creighton are recruiting these days is a whole lot different than even 2-3 years ago. We'll talk a little bit later about Ramel Lloyd Jr., who is a 4-star that committed to Nebraska yesterday. I'm hoping that college basketball recruiting takes off a little bit. Even both red and blue Nebraska with their rival sites, they don't get as much traction with the college basketball recruiting. But you had a few one-and-dones that were in town this weekend. In the class of 2022, you had the number 4 and number 5 overall prospect. But that world is still a little bit new around here, even though that is a traveling circus. You've got coaches aplenty. I think every team that played in the NCAA tournament last year was represented this weekend. And nearly all of them were represented by their head coach. Locally, a lot of the Creighton staff, a lot of the Omaha staff were there. Didn't see anybody from Nebraska that was there. But Tim Miles was there. Chris Harriman was there. Craig Smith was there. Kenya Hunter, who was an assistant under Mike Woodson, who was there at Indiana. Am I missing any other? We gave Michael Lewis a bad time. Instead, he went to Augusta, Georgia, and sent a different representative from UCLA. I mean, Jawan Howard, Chris Baird, Brad Underwood are all just kind of hanging out. So it was a who's who of college coaches. If you wanted to gawk, you could watch them. But along with that circus, with the type of AAU talent and the college coaches, you have got the world that is the bloggers and the video people that follow college basketball recruiting, that are everywhere, taking videos and taking pictures of kids and tweeting out what they're doing. I mean, that is a completely different level. But for anybody that got the opportunity to go watch this, you can see the level of basketball that is being played. It is as good as it gets with 15 and 16 and 17-year-old players. And it was a great event that I think Adidas, and we both got to talk to the Adidas people on site. It was above and beyond in conjunction with OSA in putting on the event and pulling it off first class, where you take care of the coaches and you take care of the teams and you do the little things that other sites that you're in competition with to host one of these, they are not doing. And you make it an experience for players and coaches that they go, man, I hope they keep it here because it's convenient and I had a great time. And I know down the road next year, and hopefully whatever Adidas decides with their live events, they make that decision early so people locally, if Omaha Council Bluffs is back in the mix, that they can get ahead in the planning and promote it better to the general public, because if you love basketball, you would have loved what you saw. And there were a lot of just regular Omaha people that were there that heard us talking about it on the air and showed up. But I hope Adidas makes a decision early so that they can do some planning ahead, and they will make it bigger in year number 2. I know there is some thought about doing both boys and girls next year, bringing the girls' national Adidas tournament to Omaha Council Bluffs, and then the boys' national tournament as well. Now, not all of it was great. There were some crazy people coaching. If you have been in the youth sports or the summertime basketball or the springtime basketball, you know what I'm talking about. Not everybody is a really good coach where they have set plays and they have out-of-bounds plays, and you can actually tell that the team practices and they know what they're doing. Not they just show up and they roll the ball out there and they say, let's go, 5 stars. Let's just hoop it up and let's run up and down the floor. Now, but the coaching was really good. I mean, these programs that were here, they spend time with their kids where it looks like basketball. It doesn't look like it's the Y and it's pickup and there's a bunch of 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds playing. But with that said, there is the other side of it where you get the crazy AAU coaches. So I watched one game, and this is a 17U game, George. The two teams have, Bill Self is courtside. Dana Altman was there. It's a big-time game. There's guys that were playing that don't look like any of the guys when you walk into a gym in Omaha in wintertime. These look like dudes. You're thinking, there's no way you're 17. Right. Some of those guys, you remarked, some of these guys look like they're in the mid-20s.
Yeah, easy.
Okay. So the one game, and one of the teams was Team Harden. So the guy that is coaching, and he's a young kid, hat on backwards, he's dressed like one of the players. So he has no filter, and he's giving it to the other team. He's giving it to his team. Then he's giving it to the parents of the other team, so much that during one of the timeouts, one of the parents comes on the floor and is high-fiving players. And this guy comes over, and they're just getting at each other. Now, I don't think they were ever going to get physical,
right? But
the amount of trash talk that was going on, I was like, wow, now I'm here for this. But it was a great event. If you were there, coaches, celebrities that were in attendance, and I hope Adidas was wowed and they make plans to come here and keep it here, because this is an event that you got a taste of that can take off. And we need to do better. I'm talking to all of my media friends when it comes to recruiting. And we're going to talk to Michael Bruns here in just a little bit. And, 24/7 covers college basketball recruiting. One of their main guys was here this weekend. But everything is geared towards football around here because we know all the names. But the way Nebraska and Creighton are recruiting, college basketball recruiting's going to take off. And there were more Creighton offers that were playing than Nebraska offers. Nebraska didn't have a lot of guys that they've offered that were playing this weekend, so I think that had to do with them not being here. But it was cool. I think that's a whole different world, the whole shoe circuit at a different level. I've only been to one other main event like that, and that was in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And you look around and you go, wow. Or you get somebody that is standing in the general vicinity of a guy like Ben Howland and go, you look like, did you used to coach at UCLA? And he goes, yes, sir, I did. Are you? And he goes, yes. And then Ben Howland walked away, and the guy said, who is that again? That's Ben Howland. He's a coach at Mississippi State.
There it is.
Yeah. Steve Alford was in attendance. I think all 64 teams that played in the NCAA tournament, all 68, were represented this weekend. I bet there were 200 plus programs that were represented. Drake had, it seemed like, their entire staff here. Uh-huh. Great event, and I hope Adidas loved it and they will bring it back and it can get bigger so that sometime you go, man, Chris Livingston playing in the NBA, top draft pick. I remember seeing him play at the Iowa West Fieldhouse.
There it is.
Yes. All right, Michael Bruns joins us next on the Gary Sharp Show on 1620 The Zone.